This. I didn't move. I was in one position the entire day. Why? Because I was not in my body. Do I look like the Grim Reaper? I'm playing. Welcome back, my beautiful stashlings. Today I'm going to tell you the story about how I saw death. Dramatic music. So something you'll learn about me is that I have been through a lot. That's why you're here. You want to see the story of my life. Buckle in. It's going to be a fun ride. So you'll know that I've been through a lot. Like I said, right now, I live in the hood. Like, I'm not even playing. I don't mean like I live in the hood like what internet people say. Like, genuinely. My neighborhood is complete with the unks on bikes, the grandmamas screaming down the street for their YN grandsons, the YN grandsons with their ghetto princess girlfriends, the whole shebang bang. All of us are here, right? So, yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with the story, but I need you to lock in with me. Okay, lock in. You set? Are you with me? Are you good? Are you good? Okay. So now that you're here, let me tell you the story. First, I have to ask, do you want to hear about the multiple times I've almost, which then we'd be here forever, or would you much rather hear about the times that I've actually seen the spirit of death? Like actual, with my own two eyes. See, I'm a Christian. Can you see my cross? Can you? Okay, I'm just making that very clear. we don't play around here. I can't with y'all. So this is what happened. So back then I lived in, see my flag right there? That's where I'm from. So yeah, the fun fact about me, I was born here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. So yeah, at the time of this story, I was about, was it 12, 13? I don't know, somewhere within that range. And one of my favorite foods ever that within my culture is called wache. It's my favorite food. I will eat it morning, night. I can eat it nonstop. See, it almost killed me. That didn't stop me. Bring me a plate right now and I'll mess it up right in front of you. Comments being stupid about, oh, there's diseases in Africa. It's diseases everywhere. Stupid. So anyway, at the time, there was a disease that was running rampant in our country, right? It's called cholera. And one thing I really do love about us is because of how much it ravaged our nation, we're like one of the countries that has like the best treatment for it. Like here in the US, there is no good treatment for cholera. So it's crazy. But anyway, so the government has sent out a bunch of sanctions. Make sure you're eating extremely hot food, like, wash your hands. The typical regular, like, just be a sensible human being, right? See, something that is very interesting, and a lot of y'all who are I know people from other countries can kind of relate to this. So yeah, it's the same thing here. It's kind of like when you go to like the beat up ghetto rundown restaurant and they have like the best food you ever tasted in your life. It's the same thing. So it was this lady that sold guache, right? And she made it so good. And I remember at the time, was that? Okay, yes, it was so my specific ethnic group and my specific tribe, we have like festivals, yearly festivals that every tribe, every ethnic group celebrates throughout the year. So it was our tribe's term. So we were celebrating and my family always throws like a big party. So we were throwing a big party at the, in our, like the place where my mom grew up. It's a little low income area. So she like go back there, set up because that is where she grew up. So we were throwing this little party. And so there's also this like cultural food that is made traditionally by the women. And if you eat too much of it, it will mess you up in the stomach. So I was like, you know what? Last year I ate a whole bunch because it's delicious. It's good. It's a cornmeal based type of thing. And I was like, you know what? Last year I ate a whole bunch of it. I have no self-control when it comes to that. So instead, I'm going to go get some wache. So I took my niece with me and a couple of my other cousins. I said, I'm going to go get some wache. Y'all want to come? They said, yeah, sure. All right. Once again, I apologize, but I'm not actually sorry if I'm not centered. Because again, we work with what we got. All I got is my mic and my phones. I ain't got it like that. We working with what we got. So work with me. Bear with me. Okay, so we're going to skip forward in the story. So 3 days after we heard that my grandma had passed away, my mom and my sister had gone for a funeral. So it was like a 2-hour drive away. And I remember I was at home alone with my dad and my baby brother. And I was in bed and I could not move. When I tell you I could not move. The only time that I could move, I remember it was in the middle of the night. I got up and my entire body was and then I dragged myself, crawled on the floor, took myself to the bathroom and just like exploded everywhere. And I shut the door, went back to sleep. Okay, so I'm laying in bed. The next day rolls around. My dad comes by, and the whole time, my mom, and my sister told him, "Hey, she's not feeling well," blah blah. But he was convinced that I was faking it, And I'll tell you why. Because I don't hold my dad. It's not his fault. So he comes in. He's like, "Hey, I got you breakfast." He made me breakfast, and my dad cuts up in the kitchen, and I didn't move. And so he puts the breakfast next to me on the bed. Comes back around lunchtime. "Hey, I got you lunch." He's like, breakfast is in touch. Maybe she's actually committed to this bit. Let's keep it going. He put the food on the bed. Reese comes back. But when he comes back about dinner time, the plates are empty. So he goes, she is faking. The thing, though, is that it's my brother and his friends, our neighbor's kids, the little kids around that time. They came into my room and were playing around, and then and then they ate the food. So he thought that I ate it. But get this. I didn't move. I was in one position the entire day. Why? Because I was not in my body. Those of you who are Christian like me, I feel like you understand what I'm saying. You understand that life goes beyond what our eyes can perceive on a physical level. I was not in my body. That's how I could see myself laying down, and I could see my brother and his friends eating my food, and I could also see my daddy in his room. So dinner time rolls around, and my dad brings me dinner, puts it on my bed. He's like, "Okay, I'll just give her some space, whatever." My sister gets home first from this funeral, and she's like, "Oh, how's she doing?" My dad's like, "Oh, she's doing great. Go see her." So my sister comes into the room, and let me tell you this. My sister is like, from her perspective, this is what she told me. So she's like, "Hey, we're back. I'm back." And didn't answer. I was answering her because, again, I didn't clock this at that point in time that I wasn't answering her for my physical body because I was not in my physical body. I was standing next to her. My body was laying next to her. And I was like, "Hey, yeah, I see you." And she's like, "Hey, we're back. Stash, stash, stash." And then she starts screaming, and my dad comes rushing by. "What's wrong? What's up?" "She's not moving. She's not breathing." My sister starts freaking out. And let me tell you, it takes 2 hours to get to the location of the funeral. She calls my mom. My mom gets there in 30 minutes. They put me in car. And this is the gripe I have with some of the hospitals in our city, in Accra. So you take me to the first hospital. That's called 37 Military Hospital, which is a military hospital, which we couldn't go to because my dad was Army vet. So we get there and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, we don't take cholera cases." What? Okay. Then we zoom to another hospital. We don't take cholera cases. And the whole time my sister's looking in the back seat, and she says that she sees me flopping over and she's just dying inside. I know. I'm so cool. And then I remember I was fighting because every little once in a while my mom would talk to me, "Hey, are you okay, baby?" And I'd be like, And we zoom all around the freaking city, and then finally we go to the biggest hospital where my sister actually worked, because my sister's a doctor, fun fact. So we get there, and then but she wasn't working. She wasn't working in the specific treatment that I needed. So we finally get somewhere, and we get there, and get this: the doctors were grossly and hilariously, incredibly underpaid. So they were all on strike. So we get to the hospital, they check me in and everything, and there's no freaking doctors. But thank God for the few nurses who were there. And there was one doctor on shift. Every day I ask God to bless that man because that man saved my life. So one thing y'all need to remember again is that it is a huge hospital. Huge. If you're from Massachusetts, Mass General, huge. If you're from Atlanta, Grady Hospital, huge. Huge. So my sister's driving me around with her best friend, who's also a doctor. And then my mom and dad are we're gonna also just drive around and try to find where to take her because it was a relatively new disease, so we didn't know which wing in the hospital. So we're driving around this parking lot, and we get to a point. My sister says, "I think it's better if we walk." So she turns and looks at me and says, "Can you walk, baby?" I was like, and y'all need to know this. I'm a fighter. I'm strong. See, I work out. You see this? You see this? Yeah, I'm getting there. A little bit of swole. So I said, "Yeah, I'll try. I'll fight." So we got at the car, me, her, and her best friend, and then we finally figure out where to go. We get there, she gets me checked in and everything, and like I said, it was no doctors, just nurses. And so she calls my mom and dad, and then they come by. And then now we get to the part where I actually start to see him, the scary dude who tried to get me, death. Because that day I said, "You're not taking me today, Satan. You are not taking me today, Satan. You are not taking me today, Satan. And you ain't not taking me today, Satan." I did not realize this at first, but this disease was running rampant in the country. Because tell me why I get there and it is packed. So we get there, and like I said, it's no doctors, but the nurses, they finally get to us, and I'm slow. At this point in time, I'm gone. So they finally administer IV, and it took them 15 tries to find my vein. And I have pretty good veins, you know, but this disease. And the thing about cholera, y'all need to understand, is that it dehydrates you. It will break down everything in your body and turn to liquid. So you have to keep rehydrating. But it's complicated to explain. But you're not supposed to drink just water, because then the water will make you break down more. It'll literally break down every nutrient in your body and then actually start to break down your muscles and your fat. So within 3 days, I had dropped so much weight, and I was a chunky kid. So usually when you go into the hospital, you get your own room, your own little space. No, it was so packed that some of us were just sitting on chairs. Some people were standing with, just standing and holding their IV, just I was fortunate enough to get a chair. And so let me tell you this is the point in time that I saw the idiot. So I was sitting there, I didn't even realize this, but my eyes were, I didn't even have the strength to open my eyes. I was so weakened. You could see my cheekbones. You could see my collarbones. You could probably swim in my collarbones. It was so bad. I remember it was after they had finally given me 15 IVs that I could finally open my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, I set my eyes on a beautiful sight. I'd never seen my dad cry ever once in my life. But that day, I seen my dad crying. And I seen my mom right next to him crying too, and they were comforting each other. I was like, oh, they really love me. Isn't that crazy? And as a teenager, you think everybody hates you. I remember when I opened my eyes again and I looked around, I seen my family in and in between. I seen my auntie somewhere. I seen my brother-in-law somewhere. I was like, when did they get here? So my whole family was there with me. And then I remember at a point in time, my brother-in-law came up to me, and the nurses were selling these little puke buckets where if you want, if you know you're about to throw up, they can't keep cleaning up, so just buy a puke bucket. My brother-in-law, was trying to help me feel better, so he's like, hey, do you want a puke bucket? And I was like, no! And he went and bought me one. It turns out I did need it, actually. So this is around this time, I was like, oh, okay. But I started feeling this, weariness within me, I needed to just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. So I did that. I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, I fell backwards into this dark abyss. Then I seen him standing there. It was this, how do I even describe it? It was just this figure in a black hooded cloak just standing there. And it felt so comforting, because I had been suffering and fighting this sickness for 4 or 5 days, and I was so weary. And then this dark space felt so comforting. I was like, oh, I can finally rest. But then I seen a bright light, and someone told me, open your eyes. And I was like, oh. I started fighting to keep my eyes open, because I understood one thing. You know how they talk about death's cold embrace? That was the space I was in. I understood that if I closed my eyes, I would fall back there, and I don't think I would have the strength to come back out. And I understood later that person who yelled at me to open my eyes must have been my guardian angel, because it was a bright light. Open your eyes! I can't tell you the number of times that's happened. Something you might be able to tell just by watching me is that my country, we are so very chronically unserious. So tell me why the government is going to release a new sanction and say, oh yeah, if you know somebody who starts to puke white liquid, just start making funeral preparations. Huh? But they were right. Essentially, when it gets to that point, your body's starting to break down your white blood cells and blah, blah, blah. So you gone. It's no saving you past that point. Tell me why the lady next to me starts to puke white liquid. I'm like, ugh. And so I open my eyes, I look up, because I'm fine to keep my eyes open. So I'm like, and I open my eyes, and then this lady starts to scream, and she's like, he's going to come get me. And I was like, the whole time I was like, who is she talking about? I knew, because I could see the idiot. He was floating around amongst people. He was here to get people that day. And I'm so blessed and grateful, because I would have been one of the people he would have got. Praise the Lord Jesus. Another interesting fact about my beautiful country is that, you are going to make friends everywhere you go. I mean, we're second most hospitable in Africa and 52nd most hospitable and peaceful in the whole world. Shout out to us. Yeah. So it breaks my heart to say, it was 6 of us. We were 6 friends. Or was it 7? We called ourselves. And by the time that I got moved, because first you get moved from that tight space, and then when space opens up, and you know why space opens up, they move you into an actual ward. So I got to this ward. What was it they called us? I can't remember. Was this the dejected or something that was just so, I can't believe y'all are calling this ward that. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it breaks my heart to say that out of the 7 of us, I'm the only one standing here today by the grace of the Lord Most High. Obviously, I toned this down a little bit because the subject matter is a very tough subject to discuss. Everyone here has experienced some form of loss, heartbreaking as it is. I'm grateful that you're here. Don't let nobody or nothing cause you to not be here anymore. As somebody who struggled with that in my past, I'll tell you that story later. Stay here. Jesus loves you. I love you. And I'm so grateful that you're here, my beautiful stashling. Obviously, like, comment, share, subscribe. Give me feedback in the comments. You know, hey, I figured it out. First video 1080p, second video 4K. Okay, we lock it in, we lock it in. Let me know if you want to see more. There will be a part 2 and a part 3 to the story as well. But, you know, yeah, only if y'all want to see it. All right, bye.